Welcome back. My name is John Clark. My eighth writing rule is footnote properly. This is essential. If you do it improperly, it can lower your grade. If you don't do it at all in some cases, you can be cited for plagiarism. So let's quickly go over a few main ideas regarding footnotes that will really help you get this right. First, if you're using exact language from a source, that text must be put within quotation marks. If you don't put exact language in quotes, this constitutes plagiarism. In some cases, this will result in receiving a grade of 0 on your paper. This could also result in being expelled from your school or university. Happily, flagrant plagiarism is easy to avoid. If you like a quote by Jane Austen and you want to use it in your paper, you can go ahead and use it, just to make sure it's in quotes. Very often, it's also important to introduce the quote properly so the reader knows you're quoting something. For example, you would write, as Jane Austen phrased it in Pride and Prejudice, quote, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." End quote. Second, and this builds upon the first point, every direct quote must be cited properly. Let me say that again. Every direct quote must be cited properly. For research papers, there are two basic ways to cite properly: parenthetical citation and footnotes. Parenthetical citation means referencing a quote in parentheses within the body of the text. For example, quote, "Speech, and only speech, enables man to use mathematics," end quote. Tom Wolfe, The Kingdom of Speech, 164. Parenthetical citation is much less common than the second way to cite, which is footnotes or endnotes. A footnote generally contains much more information about the source than a parenthetical citation. Either way, your teacher in syllabus should clearly explain to you which way to cite sources properly. It is important to remember that you often must also cite sources you use to write your paper, even if they are not exact quotes. When you paraphrase another's work, that's okay, provided that you footnote the source. As a general principle, you should cite the paraphrasing of a source if it contains something above general knowledge. If you read in a book that objects fall to the ground because of gravity, you don't need to cite that. That's general knowledge. If you read something that says the number of Catholic marriages is down 50% in a single generation, you should cite that. That is not general knowledge. Most people don't know that. Also, you don't need to cite every sentence. If you paraphrase 3 or 4 sentences from the same source in the same paragraph, you can simply use a footnote for the end of the section in your paper. Of course, that leaves you with the question of how to use footnotes properly. Well, that's something we'll discuss in Lesson 9.